Hey everybody, my name is Harley Blakeman from backgroundmenot.com. Today I want to tell you some free information. It's really important if you have a criminal record, and that is how to explain your criminal record in an interview. So some jobs, if it's Taco Bell, maybe you don't have to explain it, who knows. Whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with bottom of the barrel jobs. When you first get out, you got to get a job. Doesn't matter what it is. You got to have steady job for income, one, but also because you're going to want to be able to tell the next employer that you have a job. So even if you're working for a minimum wage, get a job and then start looking for another job that's better. So let's go ahead and dive into how to explain a criminal record in an interview. I came up with this outline and it is in my book, but I'm not trying to sell you my book. I'm just going to tell you this information for free. The outline is called the CODC storyline. It's an acronym that stands for circumstance, ownership, development, and change. So when you're doing your interview and it's time for you to either tell them or don't tell them, I've actually gotten jobs before where I did not tell them. I don't recommend it. It was not the best thing for me to do, but at the time, I needed the job and I doubted that they were going to hire me. Since then, I've gained some confidence and life is not in such a bad position to where I have to do that. But what I would recommend is once you have a job, you don't ever really need to lie to people. Just be upfront, interview well, and get the job. So here's how you explain your criminal record when you're in an interview. So the interview's going really well, and it's towards the end of the interview. Maybe they look at you and they say, hey, you've done a great job. Do you have any questions for us? However they indicate that it's the end of the interview, you want to tell them, yes, I'm very excited about this opportunity. Thank you so much for interviewing me. But I got to be honest with you. I want to be upfront about this because I'm an honest person. I really want this job, but I've got to tell you, I do have a criminal record. I made a mistake. And then you go into the CODC storyline. So first off, I call it a storyline because humans have always told stories, and through story, you can really get someone to listen and feel the same emotion, feel the emotion you want them to feel. So you aren't going to want to tell them a story, and that story is your circumstances that caused you to make your decision. Take ownership for that decision, and then tell them how you have developed and changed since then. You're going to walk them through a story that makes them think, oh, this guy's not a bad person, or this guy's not a terrible criminal. I just heard their story. It's not that crazy. They're not a horrible person. And it actually does work. I interviewed with dozens of companies that I didn't get jobs for, but I learned, and as I started to apply this framework, actually people received it very well. I work for a Fortune 500 company as a manager right now, and I also got offered several other management positions using this framework, the CODC storyline. So let's dive into it. Circumstance, ownership, development, and change. So I'm going to walk through it as if I'm telling my story to someone I'm interviewing with. I would tell them that I got to be honest, I have a criminal record. When I was 14, my mother left my father, and then very shortly after that, my father passed away. And basically, I was homeless. I was living with different friends, and it was really bad because sometimes I didn't have clean clothes. I didn't have a ride to school. I was very depressed, and I actually ended up dropping out of school, and I started dabbling in drugs. Shortly after that, I started selling drugs, and very quickly I got caught. And since then, I've completely learned my lesson, and I want to make it clear to you that I take ownership of those mistakes. I do not play the victim. I recognize the mistakes that I've made, but I honestly want to move forward, and I want to build my life in a positive way. Then you can dive into development and change. You tell them how you've developed and how you've changed. You can say, since then, I have a whole new outlook on life. I value education. I value my family. I don't care to be the cool kid that hangs out and parties anymore. I don't even want to associate with those people. That's development. You're telling them how you've developed into a whole nother mental state. And then lastly, you want to hit them with the change. Say, I used to work part-time, and I hated my job. I was late to work. I didn't care about my education. You can tell them now I'm taking classes at a community college, and now I take my job very seriously, and my career very seriously, and my family very seriously. Say, I came to this interview looking very nice because I'm investing in this interview. whereas before I would have never done that. And then sum it all up by just reassuring them that you're the right candidate for the job and that you really want this job and that you won't let them down if they're willing to give you the opportunity to prove yourself. I'm telling you, what this does is it causes them to be able to understand where you're coming from. They have empathy for you. They can feel what you've gone through, and they can see that you're in the right mindset. You've taken ownership. You're doing what you can. Those are the people that they're going to be willing to take a risk on. Because believe me, most companies have interviewed people that came in, just did a normal interview, and then at the end said, yeah, but I do have a criminal record. I got a felony on my record. I did 2 years in prison for burglary, but I'm going to show up. I'll be here every day. I'll work hard. Now, which one sounds better? The one where you really walked them through it detail by detail to tell them everything to make sure that they understand what they're getting into. Then you told them how you're not the same anymore. Believe me, oftentimes people don't do any of that. They just tell them they have a felony. They say they've been to prison. They say, I'll work hard for you if you hire me. And then, they're not professional. They didn't do the right research for the company. They didn't walk them through what actually happened, which is important. So use the CODC storyline. On backgroundmenot.com, you can find more. You can find like a PDF where you can print that storyline off, or you can purchase my book. It's called Grit, G-R-I-T. That's Grit, How to Get a Job and Build a Career with a Criminal Record. It is on Amazon.com. But regardless, I want you to try this. Maybe it's your first job. You want to try it. Maybe you've been working a job and you want to get a better job. You can use this tactic to get past the interview and actually get into the company. I'm telling you, you can. So expect many more videos like this where I break down tools and tactics you can use to overcome criminal records. And in the meantime, check out backgroundmenot.com. Thank you.